Hello and welcome to Higginsanity. I am your host, Jason Higgins.
I'm your co-host, Dan Black. It's been crazy. I'm excited. The NFL has been nuts.
I know. Welcome to another day of a crazy Higginsanity day because the trades, free agency, there's a lot of new faces at a lot of new places. Oh, look at that. That rhymed.
Oh, look at that.
I
Space is
know.
a new place.
Exactly. I know. I was tearing up a little bit because, we had to release Joe Mixon,
You and
you
me
know.
both.
Um, sad day because he's been a Bengal for the longest time, and we're not gonna see Tyler Boyd. T.J. Reader's gone, but we're bringing back Von Bell. We're bringing back Von Bell. And Carolina's paying him, so we're not even. It's nice. It's nice. I see Green Bay
Talk about that.
made out with
Talk about
somebody.
sad days. Aaron Jones is no longer a Packer, which I can't believe that after what he did at the end of the season coming off injury. He was the biggest reason they made the playoffs.
Right.
Then they gave him to the Vikings. Well, they didn't give him to the Vikings, but they released him, and the Vikings picked him up for 1 year, only 7 million.
Yeah, because what he went to the Vikings, um, but Green Bay got what
Yep.
Josh Jacobs though, right?
Yeah, they did get Josh Jacobs, so that's cool.
Yeah. And then the Vikings are bringing back a different QB.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins went to the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be making bank the next 4 years. He's getting paid from the
Woo!
Vikings and the Falcons.
Yeah. So I think did you think Russell Wilson was going to the Falcons?
No, I told you last time we talked about the NFL that I think his best chance to succeed was at the Steelers.
I think there's something going on outside, as you can tell. But no, there's so much stuff going on in the AFC North right now because I was actually just talking to my dad about it the other day. I mean, and it's players from the same division that are going to the different teams. So you got like say for the Bengals, we signed Geno Stone, who's the safety for the Ravens. The Steelers, they go ahead and sign Patrick Queen, that was the linebacker for the Ravens. Now that there's possible talks that Tyler Boyd is looking at going to Pittsburgh. So, but the Boyd thing makes sense because he did play college football at the University of Pittsburgh. So, I mean, him going to the Steelers, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Would it stink, seeing him in a Steelers jersey? Yeah, but there's talks that he might be going to the Chiefs, and I'd be damned if I see him in Chiefs jersey. That's for sure. But there's a lot of
uh,
teams that had a lot of good signings. I mean, I like that. This is one thing I noticed though. There's a lot of teams making moves, but I haven't seen the Cowboys make like really
no,
any move.
didn't they announce that they're done with free agency?
Like the NFL itself or the Cowboys.
No, like they put it. No, the Cowboys. Didn't they put something out? I think like yesterday or the day before that they were like, "We're done with free agency."
I don't know. I didn't see that. They haven't done anything. Or a lot of people's leaving them.
Yeah,
Now the thing I keep
I mean,
seeing is I know it's probably I mean I don't it's out there, but with the Bengals releasing Joe Mixon, they're having a good amount of cap space and whatnot. The Vikings, Cousins isn't coming back as QB. Everyone's saying, oh, the Bengals are making all this space because they're trying to make this trade and T. Higgins for and a couple draft picks for Justin Jefferson and the Vikings and have Justin Jefferson come to the Bengals and reunite the LSU national championship offense.
yeah.
That'd
I'll
be
tell you
crazy.
one thing that could be one that could be absolutely huge is the fact that Derrick Henry went to the Ravens. I mean, they already had the number one rushing team in the NFL. Then you add Henry back there, they could be dangerous.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to stop. Just the way Lamar is able to, run the ball. Then you got Henry that's obviously able to run the ball.
Right.
Um,
But that's got to give us some relief for um, what's his face? You just said him. Um, he just said his name.
what, Lamar?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, for
Like,
Lamar, that's got to give him relief that he doesn't feel like he has to be the one who runs the ball all the time.
right, right. I'm interested just, one with Cincinnati, we pick up Mike Gesicki at tight end. We re-signed Drew Sample, so we got two of the tight end spots filled, which is awesome. We sign a tough safety in Geno Stone from Baltimore, which Lamar Jackson was not very happy about. We bring back Von Bell, who was our team captain, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago back there, which is perfect. Um, we've had quite a few good signings, to be honest. And then we signed Zach Moss at running back from the Colts. So I'm interested to see with that. But that I'm a lot more confident now going into the draft to where we can kind of just now focus on like our O line and like really
Right.
like that first and second round, like really kind of focus on like what we really need around there, which makes sense. We also picked up a really good. Uh, we beefed up our defensive line as well. So, I mean, we have a lot of good signings. So Cincinnati has really been, on the ball this off season, which over the years they weren't usually a team to really be. I mean, there weren't a team that people wanted to go to, but they weren't the team to really go out and fight for people. They weren't a team to really spend the extra bucks on
Right.
people. So now they're aggressive. I mean, when you have Joe Burrow's QB and what he's bringing to the city and everything, like you have to be aggressive and you have to be out there and you have to be showing them that you're a winning ball club.
Yeah,
Because
for
who else
sure.
have the Packers sign?
For sure. What's that?
Who else have the Packers sign?
They got Josh Jacobs that you mentioned. Um, they didn't do a whole ton. They re-signed Welch. That'll be good at the linebacker spot.
Okay.
But other than that, they haven't done a whole ton. Um, which I'm fine with. I'm worried because they don't have Bakhtiari anymore. He's gone.
Yep, I
Aaron
did.
Jones
I
is
did see
gone.
that.
So we'll we'll see. I mean, I think they released another one of their cornerbacks too. I can't remember who. So they got to do some work. They got to do some work in the secondary for sure in the draft. And then their O line. I mean, I know we talk about Bakhtiari being injured and stuff, but when he's playing, I mean, he's arguably the best in the league. So that's gonna hurt. But other than that, I mean, how much?
Yeah, there's a just.
You think? What do you think Barkley's gonna do at the Eagles?
I don't know. The Eagles have had a good amount of signings, to be honest. I mean, I think Barkley's when he's healthy and he's playing, I think he's one of the top running backs in the league. Just the big question mark is: are you going to get him for a full season? Are you going to get him for a couple full seasons? Are you going to get him for half a
Right.
season? I mean, those are question marks. I mean, those are always question marks with running backs at times. But like, I mean, I look at Joe Mixon. Like, he was always consistent. He was always, he was a healthy running back for us. He never fumbled the ball, and that was the biggest thing
Yeah.
I loved about Joe Mixon is, especially like the year we made it to the Super Bowl. Like, I was, I didn't mind putting the ball in Joe Mixon's hands. To run the clock out and things like that at times because I know he was going to hold on to the ball. I know he's going to get the yards. I know he's going to, do what he does. So I'm interested to see if we're gonna do that 1-2 punch like a lot of teams are doing, and Zach Moss kind of be more. I mean, it'll be interesting because Chase Brown, he was a rookie last year for us. he's one of those guys that, I mean, he's a speedster. He can break out for 60, 70 yards just like that. And then you have Zach Moss now, who I feel like is kind of the same way. He's like more of an agility running back. So I'm interested to see, especially with us more having a passing offense, if that's what we're going to be doing. Because we do. I'm. I don't know. I'm interested to see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, this is all. I mean, it's gonna. When is the free agency over? The NFL.
And there's still a lot of good players out there. I mean, there's still like there's still numerous skill position plays out there. There's still safeties out there. I mean, there's still a lot of good players out there that's on the market. And I think that's why. But at the same time, the wide receiver market isn't like it's not huge. And I think that's one reason why T. Higgins wanted to, you know, request a trade, even though when we franchise tagged him, just because like that market isn't huge right now. But he wants 30 million. You know, but
That's going to be tough.
the one
Tough to
question
get.
mark is T Higgins is a fantastic receiver, but he hasn't been healthy. And that's the other thing is
Hmm.
he's missed more games than he's played. I feel like especially last season, but when he's on the field, he makes number one receiver plays. Like he's made a lot of good plays. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure. I
tough.
mean, yeah, he's talented, but there's just that health
Right, right,
and the with how much money he's asking for. I mean, what team is going to risk that?
right,
I mean, if I were the Bengals, I wouldn't want to pay him.
right, right. So, um, who do you say has won free agency so far? Who do you think has made the biggest move so far to I think help their team? And what team do you think has done the? I mean, obviously, I think we're both going to agree on which team has probably done the least. I mean, I'm going to throw out the Cowboys just because I haven't
Yeah,
seen
I mean the
anything.
Cowboys.
But like the team,
I
I
mean the
think.
Cowboys are going to be. They're never going to. I mean, they played good last season. Obviously, made the playoffs, but they always have the anchor that is Jerry Jones. Until he is gone or dead or whatever, they're going to be the same team every single year. Um, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, the Vikings have been super active, made a lot of moves. The Colts have made a lot of moves. Um, I don't know. I don't know
Houston.
if it's almost too. What's that?
What about Houston? I think the Texans have had a great offseason.
Yeah,
They do get Joe Mixon. They get. I mean, I think the Texans have had a great offseason.
yeah.
The
The
Bucks, they
the
re-signed Mike Evans. They re-signed Baker Mayfield. They bring two big
yeah
pieces coming back to their offense. I mean,
yeah the Cardinals haven't made a ton of trades but they've re-signed a lot of players.
how do you feel about Russell Wilson on the Steelers?
I told you. I think that's his best shot to be productive.
Do you think there's a QB battle at all?
No, there shouldn't be. I
So
mean,
you
they've just got a bunch of backup quarterbacks there in Russell Wilson.
so you think he's the day one starter as soon as he walks in?
I think if he isn't, then the Steelers are fucking themselves over. Why would you bring in Russell Wilson if you're going to make him beat at that point?
I agree. I agree. I'm interested to see
I
just
mean,
because.
they should bringing him in. They should now be creating a system around him.
Right, right. I agree.
I mean, it's only a 1 year contract, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
So you basically brought him in to see what he has. So you need to give him a fair shake, and if it works, then you re-sign him. If it doesn't, then you're back to square one. But I mean, yeah, the Steelers did make the playoffs last year, but it was tough, and it was a carousel of quarterbacks, and that's not how you build. That's not how you build a successful team.
Do you think he'll be Russell Wilson of like the Seahawks, or do you think he'll be as he was of? I mean, he had flashes last year. I honestly didn't think he had a bad year last year. I really don't. Um, but what do you think
I
the
think
Steelers are
there
getting
needs to
out of
be
Russell Wilson?
I think there needs to be a mix. He can't be the Russell Wilson when he was in Seattle anymore. I mean, he can't be running all over the place. I think he will make some plays and show flashes when
Mm-hmm.
necessary, but I think they need to focus on A, keeping him healthy, and B, him making just smart throws, smart decisions, and just being consistent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yes, I mean, there's all the highlights. He makes big plays and things like that. But also when the team depends on him to be that unscripted quarterback who's running all over the place, making big plays, team on his shoulders, that's when he makes a lot of mistakes too. They just need him to be consistent, Russell Wilson. Smart football, plays when you have to, and stay healthy.
I agree. I agree.
And if they truly do believe him and they make a game plan around him, then that can happen.
I agree. I'm interested to see. And I think, like I said, like Jameis Winston, he's now the backup QB for the Browns. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of new faces. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. So, um, I feel like in the next few days, there's going to be a lot more trades. There's going to be a lot more for, like I said, Justin Fields. That Chicago Bears. Who knows? Are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to draft Caleb Williams and like have Justin Fields play a certain amount of games and then try to trade him? Or are they going to try to mentor him?
I think just history of Bears, they're going to try and get whatever they can for Fields. And if that doesn't go, they're going to draft Wilson and they're going to start him and they're going to ruin his career.
You mean Williams? Like you draft Williams or
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. Because I don't think they, from what I've heard, is I guess the market isn't as what the Bears thought it would be for Justin Fields, so they're not like getting what they thought they were gonna get. So they're at that point where do they do the Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation?
I mean, based on history, I mean, the based on the last 30 years, the Bears are professional quarterbacks. They don't give them they scramble, they rush them, they pull them in and out, they sit them, they start them, and then they just move on and they go somewhere else and be mediocre.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nope. So I think in the next few days we'll see a lot more stuff that's happening, and plus the draft is coming up in a couple weeks. So when that happens, I think we'll kind of start to get more for a feel of who we think are going to come out of the off season, go into preseason, and we'll kind of make those picks then. But we'll see. Do the Bengals make the playoffs this year? Do they stay healthy? Do they things like that? Do the Packers and Jordan Love do they go from how they finished the season last year going into this season? Do they play? Does Jordan Love play like he did the second half of the season? Questions about the Lions. Do they have a fallback year, or do they continue to progress? Do the Chiefs repeat? All that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of stuff that's going on. You know, I think this draft is going to be a huge draft, especially after a season where there were so many backup QBs, there were so many injuries. Which every year there's injuries. Obviously, it's football. There's going to be injuries every year. But last year I felt like was a different year, just because it was a lot of starting quarterbacks that went down, and it was for multiple games. I mean, so I think this draft will be I think is an important draft just because like when we made a podcast last year before the season, we talked about like the playoff race, especially over in the AFC, and how intense we thought it was going to be, how close all these teams were going to be just because of the QB play, just because of how everybody looked on paper. And so I think this draft is huge now with all these faces in different places. Who's going to come out of each division?
Yeah, I think also too. I think this draft is going to be important because it's not going to be a bunch of. I mean, there'll be a few obviously, but it's not going to be a ton of skill positions. Of quarterback. It's going to be like the O line, the D line, the linebackers. Who are there who just need to be there, be healthy, and be consistent. Because I feel like that's where a lot of teams are lacking
Mm-hmm.
because they just have like one or two stars. They expect them to be able to carry the team. You know, and go from there. So I think this is going to be a draft that's heavy in just getting players fill gaps.
Right, right. So do you have
Because I
any?
mean, you look at the Chiefs, for instance. We talked about this before, where the defense carried them most of the season. So they just need to fill like a couple of gaps here and there to go back to being the Chiefs. We talked about how they turned it on in the playoffs to win games. Mahomes went over to Kelsey and said, "Okay, we still got this. Let's do this." But they want to get away from that. They want to get away from Mahomes and Kelsey on. So they just fill a couple gaps, get some players, and then they're back to the Chiefs dominant.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Do
Yeah.
you have
I think
anything else you want to say about free agency?
no, I'm sure we'll be back once it keeps going and all this, but just you know, wanted to get on, talk about what's going on now, and see how things turn out, and then be back. Till next time.